socials are fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell ride. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air. What a right time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling beat. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell ride.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Let me shoot you. He can't fucking breathe. Let me shoot you. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. It's Still muted. Gotta love when you do an intro twice. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I've got a glorious panel here with me to break down and get into all these shit talking and shenanigans that has fallen down the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all the fun and fuckery, though, first off, gentlemen, how the hell are you doing over there?
We're stressing a bit right now. I'll let you know here in a little while how we're actually doing.
Fair enough. That Packers game is going on right now, isn't it?
Lions are keeping them on edge right now. Glad we get some decent fights this weekend. Actually, something interesting to talk about here in a little bit.
Hell yeah, for a change, for damn sure. So, that being said, we're going to start things off the way we like to around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight announcements, fight cancellations, rumor confirmations, things of relevant usefulness to the everyday average combat sports fan that we feel you should know about here. So, first off here, we've got actually tying back just a little bit to last week and not as much as normal. PFL has made a noteworthy leap in their progression as a company, and they have they have decided going forward, all championship PFL fights will allow elbows. The PFL as an organization hasn't allowed elbows in any fight up until now. They have decided now that the UFC and the unified rule set of MMA has made 12-6 elbows legal, that the UFC is finally, that PFL rather, is finally going to allow them, but only in championship fights, which is weird, but it's still better than where we were before with no elbows at all in any fights in mixed martial arts, which is a bit weird. So baby steps are still steps, but progress should be noted here. So hats off to PFL for finally taking a couple steps in the right direction for once in a while. We've got a couple here tying into this weekend. We got word just on Tuesday that Martin Buday had officially pulled out of his fight versus Rizvan Kunyev for undisclosed reasons, but the UFC did announce yesterday that they are not going to try and find a replacement, that fight is just completely off this weekend's card. The other one that was going to get scrapped but did not, on 1 week's notice, they announced this on Sunday, Kennedy Nchukwu will be stepping in to take on Lucas Bresky on 1 week's notice this Saturday for UFC 310. So we always like to see short notice fights because that means that both fighters agreed to a short notice fight. So tip of the cap to both of those guys. We'll see how that plays out as we get closer to Saturday. That being said, we got kind of a mountain of fight announcements this week that are pretty relevant here since we saw you guys last. The first one getting pulled from next week's UFC Tampa card to instead main event the first UFC event of 2025. Amanda Ribas versus Mackenzie Dern is officially your new UFC Vegas 101 main event. I don't know necessarily that matchup is strong enough to main event a card, let alone the first card of the year, but apparently the UFC sees more potential in it being a main event for 2025 than being on the final card of 2024. We'll see if that turns out to be a good move or not. That being said, we got kind of an avalanche in the last, I'd say, 2 days of fight announcements for UFC 311. We essentially have the entire card released here. So let me run down the big notable ones because there are a bunch of them. 311 is going to be fucking stacked in LA. So let me run down the short and sweet one here for you. We got the rebooking of Ricky Tercios versus Bernardo Sopai. Cool. Carol Hosa versus Eileen Perez. Interesting matchup. Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. Very good matchup. Zachary Reese versus Cedric Dumas. Interesting. Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Very interesting. Peyton Talbot versus Hayani Barcelos. Very fucking interesting. Johnny Walker versus Bogdan Guskov. Just kind of needs to happen. But the good ones, the main card is just chef's kiss beautiful here. Kevin Holland versus Rainier de Ritter. That's going to be a spectacular fucking fight. Moicano, Hanato Money Moicano versus Benil Dariush. That's going to be a great fight. Yuri Prohaska versus Jamal Hill. Great fucking fight, especially after the bullshit Jamal pulled at the UFC PI this afternoon. That being said, co-main event for that card, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov for the Bantam title. Official main event, Islam Makhachev versus Arman Sarukian 2 for the lightweight title. UFC 311 is going to be fucking ridiculous. I'm telling you right now, they are packing LA out. The first pay-per-view next year is going to be fucking spectacular, unless the MMA gods feel cruel and do something between now and then to take those fun fights from us. That being said, excuse me, we talked a little bit a couple weeks ago before the break about Marcelo Garcia making his incredible comeback after beating stomach cancer. Well, we've officially got his comeback date. January 24th will be the One Fighting Championship event number 170, and Marcelo Garcia will competing in a 1-round 10-minute grappling match against Masakuzu Imanari, Japanese jiu-jitsu legend versus a Brazilian jiu-jitsu legend in a 10-minute 1-round match coming back from cancer. And this is what Garcia is saying is just the first of his comeback tour. He's going fully back into competition so long as nothing terrible happens here and everything holds out the way that it should. This could literally be the comeback start of Marcelo Garcia making his defeat of cancer and then coming back to take over the BJJ world again. So this is very fucking cool news. Excuse me. That being said, we've got a couple of interesting ones here from the other side of the tracks to close out the news this week. The first one is kind of an interesting one. They have officially announced that it is no longer being called the Bellator Champion Series. They have now kind of morphed that over to the other side of the house, and they're calling it the PFL Champion Series, and they're using the champions or the fighters in PFL who have come from the Bellator side of things, and to kind of emphasize and put a nice little ribbon on that, June 25th from the United Arab Emirates, the PFL Champ Series, I say with air quotes for those just listening, will now officially be headlined by former Bellator champion, now PFL fighter, Vadim Nemkov, taking on Ante Delija. That is a very, very interesting heavyweight matchup for the PFL side of things, and kind of says a lot about their thoughts going forward on the business merger that they're kind of entangled into. That being said, we've got I guess it would be a compliment sandwich here. So the meat in the middle, the nice part in the middle here would be, if you remember back, there was a Bellator London event and they signed a last minute fighter who had problems during her weight cut, ended up having to be hospitalized and subsequently put into a medically induced coma for, I believe, a month and a half or 2 months. Diane Silva was her name. She is thankfully out of the coma, back home in Brazil, and expected to make a full recovery after they got her quickly to the hospital and taken care of over in London here. It looks like there is no long-term damage, they are saying, and that she is expected to make a full recovery from this, but she said this is most likely going to be the last time she ever even considers fighting at anywhere near her normal weight, which is 176 pounds. She's just going to try and make that 145 pounds. She's a large woman. She's going to stay in the large woman category. She's not doing this again. So thank fucking goodness she seems to have learned from this one bad fucking cut. That being said, on the other side of things, we got a pair, not just one, but a pair of oh shit news here in the last couple of days. It started out over the weekend that Patricio Pitbull, had been making public calls. He wants Bellator to release him. It's been over a year since he fought. He's been pulled from what he says are 2 different cards that they had planned to put him on, and won't be fighting, according to them, in the earliest until midway 2025, possibly the end of 2025. And honestly, that's just way too fucking long for any active fighter. So he stated publicly that he either wants a fight before the end of 2025 or he wants to be released from his contract so he can go find somewhere else that he can actively fight. completely understandable, especially given everything going on with the PFL tour kind of crumbling, but trying not to, but still trying to save face. And like I mentioned earlier, with the new PFL Champ Series going on over in the Middle East, it's all a bit weird. And then yesterday, we got Patchy Mix, the 135-pound champion over in Bellator, basically echoing almost exactly what Pitbull had said, that he had been quote unquote offered one fight potentially at the end of 2025 and then told that that entire card was being canceled, that the earliest he would be able to fight would be the summer of 2025, if not the fall, and asked again. So now we have both Patricio Pitbull and Patchy Mix essentially taking the same route that Rainier de Ritter and several other fighters from Bellator and other organizations have started to take. If you're not going to use me, let me the fuck go. And these are absolutely a pair of fighters that would most likely find their way over to the UFC. I know Patchy Mix for sure. Pitbull still has a little bit of gas left in the tank. There's still a little bit of mileage on those tires. They're wearing thin for sure, but there could still be some very interesting UFC matchups for both of those gentlemen. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bellator, or what's left of Bellator, handles things from here on out going forward. That being said, that is what I have got for news this week. Do either one of you gentlemen have anything I might have missed? I'm guessing the game's going good. TJ's excited. Nothing? Good? TJ is locked in the game right now. So with that being said, we're going to jump in because I keep fucking forgetting every week, and I'm not going to forget this week, damn it. We are going to get into the combat sports menu for this upcoming week because, yes, while we might run the show along the UFC's calendar, because pretty much every major sports organization runs theirs along the UFC calendar as well, we are not exclusively covering the UFC. And I want folks to know that there is absolutely more than just the UFC to look forward to every weekend. This weekend being no exception. So this weekend, combat sports menu kicks off tomorrow evening for a change for One Fight Championship, kicking off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time over on Amazon Prime. One Championship, Lee versus Rasulov. This is a 4 MMA fight, including a title fight, 2 kickboxing matches, 3 grappling matches, and 3 Muay Thai and 4-ounce MMA gloves. This is another one that, again, the average casual isn't going to know a lot of names on there. The hardcores are going to know quite a few, but there's plenty to look forward to tomorrow evening on that One FC card. That being said, a little bit after that, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, LFA 198. This is one of those UFC feeder organizations. Generally, the guys that do well here, guys and gals that do well and either win a title or do great in the organization, generally find their way over to the UFC. This is another one the casuals are going to recognize the name to, maybe. Hardcores are going to know about half the roster or so, but combat sports with you dinner tomorrow evening. That being said, moving over to Saturday, kicking off bright and early with lunchtime, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Octagon 64 from over in Munich, Germany. Words are hard sometimes. This is, again, one of those European feeder organizations for the UFC. Generally, the folks that do well here end up in the UFC. So again, casuals probably aren't going to know a whole lot. Hardcores are going to know a couple, but either way, if you need punchy kick it with your lunch, these guys have got you covered. That being said, that will bring us to the reason for the season, the marquee for this particular episode here, UFC 310 Pantoja versus Asakura, live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, kicking off 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Saturday evening. That being said, pay attention because we're going to get into the goodies here.
This, of course, would be the point in most podcasts where you get some bullshit B-roll for some product that has nothing to do with the show or something that no one on the show actually even knows the fuck about. And we don't play like that here on the I'm No Joe podcast. The I'm No Joe podcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Patreon.com/ImNoJoe for as little as $1 a month, as much as you feel comfortable giving. You help us do what we do around here. In exchange, first and foremost, we put your name at the end of every broadcast on this channel to let everyone know that you help us out and that you are a badass for doing so. That being said, on the other side of it, we also give you unrestricted access to the behind the scenes and unaired content here on the I'm No Joe channel, things that may or may not have gotten us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast, but that's only for Patreon contributors to get to enjoy. So little as $1, get you all the fun, helps us do what we do, and we really appreciate it. That being said, that'll bring us to the point. If you've been watching podcasts, I'm fucking flustered. If you've been watching combat sports, as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, inevitably you start to learn what you like to watch, when it comes on, how to watch it. You start to develop a set of metaphorical blinders and lose the forest for the trees, if you will, here. Luckily for us here on the I'm No Joe podcast, we have ourselves a bona fide young person that is ever so vigilantly out there and ever so delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they even are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. TJ's not doing too hot over there. It looks like the Lions are about to scoop it up. We've got quite a bit of trash this weekend, that's for sure. Even though it's a pay-per-view, I always start with the trash, and we've got a good bit of it that you can throw in there. The Weidman and Anders fight, as much as I love Chris Weidman, and I'm happy that the dude's, this is going to be his third fight since that fucking horrible leg break he's had. This fight's just, it's trash. Don't need to see it. Didn't need to see it a month ago. Didn't need the rebooking. You just throw that one in the trash. You got Lucas Bresky and Kennedy and Shekwu, or in Shekwu, however you pronounce that motherfucker's name. That fight could go in the trash as well. I feel like those two are just going to kind of slap it away for 3 rounds. Throw the Max Griffin and Chiesa fight in the trash. I think that one's going to be pretty shit. The Grimbo Luque fight. You can throw the Anthony Smith and Dominic Reyes fight in there. Kron Gracie, Bryce Mitchell. That's a big one, especially since it's on the fucking main card of the pay-per-view. I love Nate the Train, and I think Nate versus Du Ho Choi is going to be great, but that's the other big thing that fucks me up in the head. 2 featherweight fights where we really don't have anybody deserving of ranking. Bryce Mitchell, I think, still in the top 15, barely, but he's the only one of those 4 featherweights that's ranked. And then you got 2 of them that are pretty much top 5 guys, and Aljo and Movsar Evloev. You didn't put that fight on there. Like, I don't think that fight's going to be that entertaining. I feel like that's the point and why they put it on the prelim. Still, it doesn't make sense. You could easily throw a shit ton of shit in the trash, though. I have one Schrodinger's contender, and I'm putting Kai Asakura in that spot. I would like to say he's the contender, right? I'm leaning that way. Kid's exciting. He's got a lot of knockout power, but it is so much question. I would love to see the UFC finally get their first Japanese champion. The kid's got, I feel like, it, right? He's got that ability to be a superstar, get the UFC to fucking go back to Japan, all that shit. It would be awesome. But that's where it's on the fence for me. There's so many questions. Never fought somebody of this caliber, really. The only person close, Kyoji Horiguchi, and he's 1-1 with them. It's a giant toss-up. Pantoja's looked great over the past few years. The dude has been a dominant force. He had a tough fight against Steve Erceg in his last go, but he still pulled it out, championship round. He dogged that shit out. He beat the young kid. He held on to it. We'll see how this one goes. Kai, you got to be on the fence in my eyes. There's just too many questions. Contenders, fights that I'm really excited about: Brian Battle and Randy Brown. You may not like, I see TJ shaking his fucking head. It's an actual exciting fight, dude. There's two guys that are going to go out there and try to beat the shit out of each other, and that's the whole thing that we watch fights for. And we don't want to fucking see dudes hugging on each other and dicking around like we're going to see Vloyev and Aljamain Sterling do, or Kron Gracie and Bryce Mitchell, and then those two motherfuckers are going to be talking about flat Earth after hugging each other for 15 minutes. There's other shit out there, but Brian Battle, Randy Brown is one of the better ones compared to some of the shit. I think Volkov, in my eyes, is actually a contender. I feel like Volkov's looked good in his past couple fights. Might get that revenge this weekend over Cyril Gane. He beats Gane. He's not really in the title picture, but you're just in a better spot in the heavyweight division than most other guys. You be above like everybody else, Curtis Blades and all those other motherfuckers. Don't know where he'd go from there because everything's all log jammed. But Chase Hooper, kid's fucking definitely been on a nice little win streak, 3 in a row, 2 of them by a submission. He's fighting on a future Hall of Famer in Clay Guida, even though dude's 42, he should have been done. Like, it was an easy win in his side this weekend, but he is a contender. He continues to rack up wins and get true challenges and continue to look good and continue to be exciting every time that he gets to fight. Joshua Van, same thing, 23 years old, kid, fucking hell of a boxer. Excited to see what he does against Cody Durden, getting an opportunity to push himself up in the rankings already. You got Nate the Train and Doo Ho Choi. It's a good way to kick off the pay-per-view, even though, like I said, it's somewhat questionable because you got the featherweights that are ranked, throwing them in the prelims because that one's going to be boring. This one's going to be fun. I think these two are going to fucking throw it down. It could be a real fun fight. And if Nate the Train wins, we all know he's going to fucking throw it down. A hell of a promo on the microphone with Joe Rogan after the fact. It's going to be a good fucking time. I'm here for it. He obviously got co-main event. I'm excited for 2 undefeated dudes. Haiti and Gary as a person. The dude's not the greatest fighter. He wins by decision a lot more than anything. 2 undefeated guys. What more could you want, right? One of them's not just undefeated, but 18-0, all by fucking finish. This is going to be a good one. I'd like to hear what you boys got.
Let me start by I'm already pissed off, so I'm going to fuck you all up here. I don't care how many times you want to suck Brian Battle off. I'm sick of hearing he falls under the contender section. He does not. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. He will never fall under the contender, ever. He will be a bottom of the barrel scum sucker. He's the guy that goes and scrapes fucking cum off the fucking goddamn backs of seats in the adult movie theater. That automatically, just because he's in that fight, don't care what's going on, fuck them both. Now, with all of that being said, the fucking main card, they have that fucked up bad. There's no reason that I like Nate the Train, like Doo Ho Choi as well. That fight should not be on the main card. There are other fights on here that deserve that fucking spot more than that does. To be honest, throw Cody Durden and Joshua Van on there in their place. And even that doesn't belong on the main card. That's a prelim fight. Unfortunately, it's on the early prelims because they thought Brian Battle needed to be on the fucking prelims. He should be the opening fucking fight in place of Kennedy Njoku and Lucas Brzezinski. Fuck him. Also, fuck that fight as well. Nobody gives a shit about that. Now, the other fight on the fucking, why did they put Shavkat Rachmanov and fucking Imachado Gary as the co-main when you have the return of Cyril Gahn, knowing that he's gonna go in off Alexander Volkov in a dominant fucking fashion, which should have been the co-main leading into what could be a wild main event. Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie, that fight can go in the trash. That's gonna be a fucking tantric love fest of Brazilian jiu-jitsu versus fucking Arkansas jiu-jitsu. And who knows more about flat earth theory. As far as fucking the prelim card is concerned, I already talked about that piece of shit. I'm not gonna fucking mention it again. Movsar and Aljamain, nobody cares. The only thing people care about in that fight is Aljamain doesn't get a win. So long as that happens, everything in the world is right. I don't care what happens the rest of the fucking card, so long as Aljo takes a fucking L. I can't stand the guy, period. And why has there been so much fucking coverage on the embedded series on a can like, no, Themba? Garimbo, look, just because The Rock gave you a fucking house doesn't mean that you're worth being on the embedded series. You're not fucking ranked. You're fighting a guy who is ranked that I really think shouldn't be in Vicente Luque. He's been fucking off for a long time. There was a point where, yeah, he had some flashes of greatness, but that was a flash in the pan. Now that's a burnt spot in the bottom of the pot you can't get out no matter how hard you scrub. Then you've got, I would call it a changing of the guards, but this is another what I'm going to throw into the can fight. And I like both of these guys as fighters. Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. Those guys are both, they're the old lions. When I say they're the old fucking lions at this point, I don't mean it in this respectful way because I'm older than both of those motherfuckers. But as far as the fight game is concerned and the way that their careers have panned out now, it's time for them to start thinking about hanging it up. We already know Anthony Smith is in a great spot because he already does a great job on the commentary desk. He's fucking fantastic to listen to. And Dominic Reyes, he could do a lot of things outside of this, even coaching wise. I think he'd make a great fucking coach. I mean, he had a run at the title at one point, didn't do so hot with that, but you know. Now, if I'm gonna add fucking my contenders to this, Shavkat Rachmanov all fucking day. That dude is an animal, a scary motherfucker that hasn't gotten the shot at the title that he already fucking deserves and is long overdue. Cyril Gahn, obviously, he's gotten skipped over a few times here, albeit he has yet to fight Tom Aspinall. And that's a fight we need to see after Tom Aspinall goes in and takes the belt back. I think Cyril gets the immediate fucking shot. Fuck John Jones. That dude can go snort a line of coke off a hooker's ass and drive into a pregnant lady off a cliff, and I wouldn't care. Yeah, it's kind of where we're at. And of course, Joshua Van, he's got some great flashes in there. Yes, he got knocked out in his last run out, but other than that, he's 3-1 in the UFC so far, and he's always an exciting fighter to watch. So he automatically goes into that contender spot. Although I have a hard time betting against Cody Durden. Anytime you hear the name Durden, I immediately think Fight Club. So you know, it's just kind of they go hand in hand. So that fight as a whole can go into the contenders for me. I do agree 100% on your Schrodinger's contender and Kaya Sakura. The catch with that is, yeah, he's been in the fucking bright lights, but not the bright lights of the UFC. And you're getting thrown into the fucking, not just the deep end, but the end where you need to be scuba certified in order to fucking get in the pool. That's where he's at right now, and I hope he's got that certification, because if not, he's gonna fucking drown. But we're gonna see. I mean, multi-weight champ, fucking from different fucking area. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of like what the UFC likes to do. They like to go and poach people after they're past their prime, a little bit past their prime, so they can say, "Oh, we got this great fighter from one fucking PFL wherever." So that way they can go, "Oh, look, their best isn't as good as our best." No, you just don't get their best when they are their best. Which is also the same reason they won't do cross promotional fights, even though other companies are wanting to do that with them. Like, the inklings of people wanting to watch John Jones get his face smashed in by Francis Ngannou. But that won't happen because Big Daddy Dana's afraid of his reputation getting beat up. He ain't worried about the fighters. He's worried about his fucking reputation in the company. And to his credit, at least he is not a United Healthcare CEO, because he'd be dead already too. Yes, shots fired. You heard it here. Not literally. I want to make that very clear. No shots literally fired.
Only metaphorical. Yeah, only metaphorical.
Metaphorical shots.
No,
Make sure I'm not coming up on some FBI most wanted list.
Right, we don't need to show on the watch list for that kind. No, I agree with the vast majority here. I will say, as odd of a collection as this is, none of these fights are really terrible. They might not all be great, but none of these fights are terrible. If this was next week's UFC Tampa final card of the year, this would be acceptable. The fact that it's the final pay-per-view card of the year makes it feel a little grimy, a little cheap. This, I will say, unlike most of the fight nights themselves, this actually has a lot of semi-relevant fights on it, just maybe not at the most ideal time for all of them to have been made. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Hats off to fucking Kennedy and Lucas for stepping up and taking short notice fucking fights. That means that both of them had to take a completely fucking short notice fight, regardless of who was originally booked and who wasn't. Both of them took a fight on a week's notice. So tip of the cap to that. I don't know if it's going to be that exciting of a fight, since Nchuku basically flunked his way up to heavyweight from 205, but there's potential for it to be interesting. Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida.
I'm not gonna lie, I needed a good fucking laugh. I appreciate that.
Like, I understand why they made this fight, but I don't understand why it's on the pay-per-view. They're essentially trying to give Clay Guida a soft way out the door, because we all know that Clay Guida is not going to stop fighting until they stop re-signing him. So they're not trying to just throw him out there and use him as sacrificial lambs to anybody, but they also can't give him like brand new full guys either. So they're giving Chase Hooper, who's essentially had a striking challenge rebound tour, if you will, because he came out as a young kid as an amazing fucking grappler, and those proportions at 55 are dangerous for a fucking grappler. But we saw real early that Chase did not have hands, and to his credit, he has been working on it, but that work has seemed pretty fucking slow going. And Clay Guida, I love him. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. He's a fucking living legend, but he's never really been the biggest knockout threat. So this is essentially the UFC giving Chase an opportunity for a guy that he's never going to fucking knock out, but not necessarily a threat to knock him out either. So he can kind of show off the work he's done on his striking. And then if he wants to grapple, We all know Clay Guida is a fucking world-class wrestler, one of the best on the fucking planet. So they can roll on the ground all they fucking want to, and it won't necessarily be boring, but it's not really much of a threat for either guy in this situation. So I understand it. I'm just not, I can't really get excited about it, if that makes sense. Chiesa Griffin's real similar. Like, it's not a terrible fight, but there's no heat on that fucking fight. Like, what is there to win for either one of those guys? Like, Chiesa has already said he's probably got 2 more fights and then he's done. We've seen the ceiling that Max Griffin is going to fucking get to, and he's already on his way down the other side of the fucking hill. So not a bad matchup, but why is it on the pay-per-view? Why is it on the last pay-per-view of the fucking year? Durden Van, cool, could be fun. Not a terrible fight. I like Josh Van, but I don't know why this one's on the pay-per-view either. Weidman, I know he fucking giggled like a schoolgirl when the UFC announced that they were going back to the old gloves, especially coming up with this fight against Eric Anders. I just can't get excited about that matchup. I will say Brian Battles versus Randy Brown, I'm not excited about it, but there's potential there. We've seen Randy Brown be crazy exciting before. We've seen this new version of Brian Battle show some flashes in the pan. This could be a really interesting fight, but because of who they are, this could also be 15 minutes of, God damn it, are we really still watching the same fight? I can't get excited about it, but I will say there is potential there. Unlike a lot of people, I will say, because I've caught in shit for this opinion twice already this week, and I don't give a fuck. I'll stand in front of that firing squad again. I don't give a shiny flying fuck about Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. I don't care if it's on the prelims. I don't care if it's on the main card. I don't care if it's the fucking main event. I don't give a runny shit about that fight. It is 2 dudes with a record history of being boring decision fighters, potentially in a 15-minute boring decision match against each other, trying to talk shit like either one of them has any fucking finishes or even a finish to talk about. I don't give a fuck about this fight. I don't care where the fuck it is. I don't care what card it's on. I don't give a fuck about that fight at all, period. Sorry, no shits to give here. None. I will say Luque versus Themba has a little bit of curiosity for me. Not a lot. I agree. I think Luque is definitely on the other side of it here. I think a lot of it has to be attributed to the injury, the brain injury that he underwent and then came back from, which definitely deserves fucking credit. But I also think that not only robbed him a lot of his physical prime, but of his physical ability as well, because he just doesn't seem like the same guy now as the silent assassin that we saw Vicente Luque coming off of Ultimate Fighter. I still like him. I still think he's got a real good chance in this fight, but I just don't think he's ever going to quite get back to the Luque we saw. I get that Themba Gorimbo has a feel-good fucking story. I get that The Rock liked him. I get that he, tried to play the nice guy buddy for Colby Covington and is now standing up saying, nah, he's a scumbag. But none of that makes any fucking difference when the cage door closes. And when the cage door closes behind Themba, he just has not done shit for me to care about. There's nothing that he has done that has been exciting. There's nothing that he has done that is extraordinary or original or one of a kind or anything that even makes him unique. Honestly, he is just another journeyman fighter trying to figure out how the fuck to do this. He just happens to have popular fucking friends. That being said, there are some shiny corn nuggets in this turd in a punch bowl here. I will absolutely say, I love the fucking Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi fight. This is one of the ones that I was talking about earlier. I love the fight. I just don't like the timing of it. I think Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi would have been a spectacular fight 2 years ago. Right now, it's kind of 2 dudes trying to keep their head floating above water, honestly. I love the fucking Nate train. I've been a fan of the Superboy since he got fucking signed. But realistically speaking, both of these dudes are treading water, trying to keep their head above the fucking tide at this point. And as much fun as this fight could be, I promise you it would have been more fun 2 years ago when both of them were really on a fucking hot streak and getting momentum. Now that both of them have kind of had a bit of a rough up and down, to put it mildly. That being said, the Battle of the Flat Earthers is just going to be fucking weird. There's no two ways about it. I can't say it's going to be exciting. I can't say it's going to be boring because it's Bryce fucking Mitchell versus Crone Gracie. It's just going to be fucking weird. I'm a petty dude. I'm here for weird shit. I don't know that this belongs on the main card, but I'm here for weird shit. So I think this could be fun in the most grotesque kind of way, but that's the kind of fucked up individual I am. And I'm very open about that. Cyril versus Volkov, I'm curious about for a couple of reasons. One, it's a rematch that we saw go very fucking one-sidedly, but both of those gentlemen have seemed to kind of teeter the other direction since that happened. But two, like it was mentioned a minute ago, there's a fucking undeniable and immovable log jam at the top of the heavyweight division right now. The only real way any traction in any direction is going to get made is if heavyweights that get the chance to fight make a serious fucking impact. If these two go out there and they put on a boring 15-minute fucking WrestleFest, no one is going to give two shits, and the heavyweight division is going to stay dead for the next 9 months at the very fucking least. On the other hand, if Cyril Gahn comes out and fucking flatlines Alexander Volkov in 49 seconds and says, John Jones, you didn't see the best of me. Get your fucking ass back in action. We have a fucking date to run back. Suddenly everything gets real fucking exciting. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I'm saying is that would pump some fucking nitro into the dead heart that is heavyweight in UFC right now. It's got Tom Aspinall there. You cannot fucking deny him. But in the position uniquely fit for Cyril Gahn right now, if he comes out and does work like we know he is capable of, he could shake everything up and make things at least start to move a little bit. On the other side of that, No Time Volkov has been coming through just taking fucking skulls lately. So if he comes in and takes out Gahn in 45 fucking seconds and says, John Jones, you had to lay on top of him. I knocked him the fuck out. I should be next. Interesting conversations have to be had once that's done. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to jump the line, but interesting things can happen as a result of this card or this particular fight on this card. I like that. I think it could be fun. I don't know that it's going to be, but it very much could be. You got a co-main event with two undefeated fucking fighters with double-digit records. When the fuck does that happen in any organization where both of those records are legitimate and you've watched them develop? This isn't a Khabib 29-0 situation. These are two young men that we watched come up from both very green and very rough standards to genuinely developing well-rounded mixed martial artists. In one case, Shavkat literally had the fucking title shot. He was booked in the title fight on this fucking card. And when his opponent got hurt, you know what he said? Cool. Who's next in the meanwhile while that bitch heals his fucking toe? And here he is stepping up to Ian Machado Gary, who again, apparently is the only fucking dude the UFC sent a contract to who said, short notice against Shavkat? Cool. Let's fucking do it. Nobody wants to fight Shavkat to begin with. Ian Gary took the Shavkat fight on short notice. I don't know if he's going to win it, but what I do know is that man needs a wheelbarrow to carry his balls, because that's a fucking statement to be made. Win or lose, Ian Gary was the only person willing to put his fucking head on the chopping block and say, swing away, Shavkat. Let's see what you fucking have. I can respect that. I don't like Ian Gary, but I can respect that fucking move. We'll find out if it was smart Saturday. And then we got our main event. How the fuck can you not be intrigued by this main event? Alex Pant has stumbled ass first into one of the greatest fucking title runs we have witnessed in years. Nobody thought this motherfucker would ever get to the belt to begin with, let alone defeat everyone they have put in front of him to such a fucking extent that the UFC pulled a Mighty Mouse and they snatched a dude from another fucking organization from a different weight class to come over and try and take this motherfucker out because the UFC wants back in Japan. The thing that people forget, Kai Asakura was the bantamweight champion. Kai Asakura has not fought at 125 pounds since 2016. This guy hasn't even made the weight he's fighting for the belt for in almost a goddamn decade. And they're bringing him in so fucking confident that he can dethrone Alex Pants, who has beaten everybody we were convinced was going to walk through him. I can't see a bad outcome for this main event. No matter how it shakes loose, either the UFC has a brand new Japanese star and we're going back to Japan, or Ali Pants is unfucking deniable. And even other organizations don't have anybody that can really knock that motherfucker off his podium. And now things get real interesting. Either way, I'm curious to see where the fuck we're going to be going next week. That all you got? All right. Well, that being said, that will bring us to the point in the show where the only segment we have that requires its own individual disclaimer. So, if you will, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does offer you the option to go onto their site, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups. So we made one. It's called ImNoBookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the hell you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a little segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Sir. All right, we're going to jump right into this. So we're going all the way back to November 23rd, a couple of weeks ago here, for the Young versus Figueiredo fucking card. Now, I don't generally accuse of cheating and peeking at people's homework, but god damn it, there was a lot of fucking ties on this and a lot of really close to ties. I think people were looking at other people's fucking homework during this. When I say ties, I mean the people who decided to take first place out. Well, we can call it first, second, because that's kind of what it is. That would be Don. Somehow pulled his shit together and thought he ran away with first place. But no, Christian must have cheated off his homework or vice versa. Tied with 450 fucking points, 7-13 correct. But now, to be fair, this was a really fucking weird card, and a lot of fights did not play out the way a lot of people thought. So them barely getting over the fucking 500 mark was quite fucking impressive, because they were the only two people in our group that got over the 500 mark. Now, that comes down to a fight for who tripped over their dick harder. And I don't know if, to be honest, even though I know what the score is, 25-point difference tells me somebody was cheating off somebody's homework and forgot to mark B in one spot. And unfortunately, the guy who forgot to mark B in that spot was Vindog. Vindog, 4-13. But he may have tripped over his dick, but it was also not without the help of Meter over there going 4-13 as well. Like I said, you forget to mark B, what happens? You end up tripping over your own dick. But either way, you both got a failing grade, so, you know. So did everybody else because we were all below 50%. So, anything below fucking 60 is a fucking fail. So
Technically, I
here
got
we
an extra
are.
point more, but I put my name down as Vincent on the paper, and the teacher took an extra one off.
Oh, that's what happened. All right. Oh, as a whole, we did like shit last week. Only, like I said, only two of us got over the 50% mark. But with all that being said, we're gonna check see how our current end of year event is going on here with only what is there like 4, 5 cards left, including this weekend. But right now, Donna is sitting in the top spot, even though she shit the bed this last run out here. Christian not far behind her, sitting at 2490, where she is at 2660. Myself, I'm at 2300, sitting in third spot. Bindog, even with his atrocious week, still sitting at 2115. He's still in it. There's plenty of time left here. Meter sitting in the fifth spot at 1990, and old Don River Tour is sitting there at 1760, taking out the bottom spot. That's a long way from the top. Granted, we're halfway through. He could have a major turnaround, and Donna could really shit the bed the last halfway through, and weird shit could happen in the middle. So just know with let's see, we got this weekend. There's 6 events, including this weekend left in our last fucking little run of the year. So if you guys haven't, you can join Tapology. It is free. You can join our group. It is also free. I know you motherfuckers like free shit because you're here listening to us for free. Group 965. ImNoBookie over on Tapology. Do yourself a favor. Come join us. If you want to know who you are, we'll pat you on the back when you do well. If you don't, that's fine. We can't talk shit about you when you do poorly then. But if you want to get into the next little mini game that we have going on there, you got to let us know who you are so we can get you the invite. Oh, shit. Now, with all that being said, we're going to move on because you guys know where to go. Get that free Tapology account with 965 or ImNoBookie. We're going to go over to look at some betting odds for this weekend, the December 8th card. And then we'll have another little minor break and then a long break. Now, just to let everybody know, this week they did a pretty good job of doing coin flips. There are a few fucking wide odds on the card, so I'm gonna cover those. I'm not gonna cover the ones that are close to wide, just the wide ones, and then of course the co-main and main. So we're gonna go starting here with the opening fight: Kennedy Njoku and Lucas Bresky. They've got Kennedy coming in as a minus 550 favorite over Lucas as a plus 400 underdog. Pretty fucking wide odds for a goddamn opening fucking fight, especially in a guy who had to go up a weight class because he couldn't hack it in the light heavyweight. But still getting the fucking nod apparently somehow. Now, our next one that's going to be closest to that as far as in the vast majority of wideness here is going to be on our main card, Bryce Mitchell and Cron Gracie, the Battle of the Flat Earthers. Got somehow they have Bryce Mitchell coming in currently as a minus 800 favorite over a plus 550 underdog in Cron Gracie, which is kind of fucking crazy to me. But that is what it is. I'm just saying that some of those lines are out there and they're fucking wide. Now, that is not the widest odds on the card. The widest odds on the card belong to Chase Hooper and Clay Guida. They have Chase Hooper coming in as a minus 1,200 favorite and a plus 725 underdog in Clay Guida. That is the widest odds Chase Hooper has had since he's been in the UFC, even when they fed him some fucking cans to get him rolling, which is fucking crazy. In that kind of crafty old veteran in Clay Guida, I don't know that those odds are correct. I wouldn't bet against Clay Guida in this case. I I would probably throw some money on Guida just for shits and giggles because there's a good chance that he could win that. I'm not saying he's going to, but crafty old veterans tend to pull some wild shit off from time to time. No, normally I would only do the co-main and main after this, but I am gonna do the people's co-main there because I think Siragan and Alexander Volkov actually fucking deserve a talking. They've got Siragan coming in as a minus 350 favorite over a plus 275 in Alexander Volkov. Not super wide odds, but they kind of make sense if you're looking at rankings and the type of striking that's going on. But that's not it as a whole. Like I said, Alexander Volkov's had a resurgence in his career as of late. And Siragan's coming off of a loss where he didn't really get fucking injured. He just hasn't fought in like a year, which is why I think the odds are as close as they are. I think they'd be a little wider had Cyril been a little more active. That brings us into the co-main here in Shavkat Rachmanov and Ian Machado Gary. We got Shavkat coming in as a minus 400 favorite over a plus 300 in Ian Machado Gary. I understand why they're doing that as he's coming in taking that fight on short notice. But both of those guys are fucking undefeated. Like it or not, I think the odds should be a little closer than what they are in there because those are pretty fucking wide for two undefeated fighters who have climbed up the rankings fairly quickly. And that brings us into the main event. Alexandre Pantoja and Kai Asakura. They've got Asakura coming in as a plus 200 underdog. And Pantoja is a minus 250. Those odds aren't as wide as the co-main event. Asakura has not fought in the UFC yet. Granted, we know what he's capable of outside of the UFC, but he hasn't fought in the UFC. So take those odds with a grain of salt. But everything else on there are pretty close to coin flips. There's a couple other marginally wide odds, but like I said, I'm not going to talk about all those. I just want to cover the really big ones because there were quite a few this week. And also, just remember, I'm looking at BetMGM odds. So depending on where you're looking at your odds, they may vary depending on whether it's you're doing something on DraftKings, your local casino, fucking you're going to Caesars Palace, whatever. FanDuel, who fucking knows? Wherever you're going, they're probably going to vary a little bit, but they should be pretty similar as far as how close they are in the odds. But if you're going to make bets and you like to throw money away, there's some ones to throw money away on this week just to see what happens. And that's all we got until the next outing.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that'll bring us to the point in the show where if you're just listening to the audio version, you won't recognize as easily as the folks who are watching it over on YouTube that this is the point when things dial back from the haha and get down a little bit more serious. When we take things from friendly show to head-to-head competition, this is the point where we call things the pit. So, gentlemen, are you both ready to compete? Because I competed in the last two, so I decided I'm going to judge this one.
I'll do whatever I need to do. Well, I will say it's been a while since I've had a week off, but I'll do it.
All right. Well, that being said, we'll let Christian go first here. We'll give you a week off from going first, at least. So, Christian, starting with you, the way we like to kick things off around here for the pit. On every fight, on every card, rather, there is one fight that just does not get enough love. One fight that you have to make sure everyone around you is paying attention to. We like to call that the, hey, Mo, get in here fight. Which fight on this UFC 310 final pay-per-view of the year is the one that you have to make sure everybody catches?
I gotta go with the first fight on the main card. Nate the Train versus Du Ho Choi. I feel like that's one of those fights that could wind up being one hell of a fucking fun time. Like, obviously, like I said earlier, Nate gets on the microphone. He's gonna fucking spit some hilarious shit. He spit some good fucking lines. But that fight itself might be a hell of a banger. Anybody that hasn't seen MMA before, or, not that into it, you gotta get their asses in there. You gotta see Nate the Train. You can't ever miss out. Maybe it doesn't need to be on the pay per view. It's definitely one of those fights not getting enough love, even though the placement maybe isn't that correct. Nate the Train never gets enough fucking love. Always a motherfucking underdog.
I can definitely agree with that. I honestly, no matter how that fight plays out, I have a feeling it's going to be fun either way. So Nate the Train's one of those dudes we like to say he's allergic to boring fights. He breaks out in punches, winning or losing. It's always fun to watch Nate the Train. So definitely a good answer there. That'll bring us across the octagon, if you will, over to Golf Tee here. So Golf Tee, of all the fights on this card, if you've got a crowd around you, which one do you have to make sure everyone is paying attention to this weekend?
I'm actually going the fucking early prelim route, or the early fucking prelim route here. We're talking fucking Cody Durden, Joshua Van. Joshua Van always fucking brings it. He's got a fucking great boxing style to watch. And Cody Durden somehow managed to get a fucking number by his name by taking a match now. So, I mean, it's worth the fucking watch. The price of admission there, somebody's going to get fucking hurt in that fight. And being as they're flyweights, they're going to keep moving the whole fucking time. It's going to be a fucking fantastic one to watch. It might not blow the roof off the place, but it will definitely not be boring.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that for sure. Like I said earlier, I've been a huge Josh Van fan since he got signed. He's had a little bit of a rough road, but he's also a young kid and he's just finding his way, starting to learn how he's going to do this and what his style is going to be. So I think Cody Durden is a pretty apt test for him because we've seen Cody take out some young prospects as well, but we've also seen him come out and trip over his dick pretty fucking hard. And if he does that this weekend, Josh Van is going to give him a very, very long Saturday night, I believe. So yeah, good answers on both sides here, close scoring. So we'll just move right along here to round two. So round two, we will kick off with Golf Tee. So Golf Tee, if every card has a "hey, well, get in here" fight, that means that inevitably there is one fight that you can almost bank on using as your bathroom break, time to go change out the drinks, take the dog for a walk, whatever you need to do. Which one is the you can miss this fight for you here on UFC 310?
Oh, I'm going to take a really long shit here because I'm going to one up this. It's back-to-back fights. The opening two fights of the fucking prelim card. Randy Brown, Brian Battle. I'm going to go take a shit. And then if the missus is in the mood during the Mob Sarevlov fucking Aljamain Sterling fight, I'm going to go get myself a blowjob. Because you know what? Fuck both of those fights. That's right. I'm doing a twofer. It's back-to-back shit. Maybe I'll have a Blumpkin. Who knows?
Very well said. Very well said. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him. So that'll bring us across the octagon again here, if you will. Christian, that brings us back to you. So in this situation here, if every card has one fight, you have to make sure everybody watches. That means inevitably there's one fight that you can use to go do a dab or get another drink because you got too strong of a fucking cotton mouth, or just stand in the kitchen and stare at the fridge for 5 minutes because you forgot why you went in there to begin with. Which fight on this UFC 310 final pay-per-view of the year are you just not giving a shit about?
Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie, man. It's one of those fights that doesn't deserve to be on the fucking pay per view. It's one of those fights, probably one of the worst on the whole card. Damn sure need to skip it. Whether you're a casual or hardcore fan, go do something else. You don't need to see two grown men fucking each other on national TV. That's not okay. Um, and then, like we were talking about earlier, trying to talk about all their bullshit conspiracies. Bryce Mitchell gets a win. That's not going to be like Nate the Train. Hearing him on the microphone in any capacity is just not worth the shit. So You completely throw that one in the trash, just like we talked about earlier. Enjoy something else, and then come back and you get 3 good fights to end the night after that bullshit.
Yeah, I will definitely say if you're not a fan of jujitsu, that is going to be the longest 15 minutes of your Saturday, and I'm pretty confident that fight's going to go the full 15. So I can definitely understand why that would be the one that you would take your break during, to say the least. So that being said, that'll bring us back over to round 3. Christian, back to you for this one here. Round 3, we have got an interesting co-main event. We talked a little bit about earlier a pair of undefeated fighters who have both worked their way up through the welterweight division. One of them was literally booked into a title fight already, and when it fell out, he went, cool, let's do this. Whose O has got to go Saturday night?
This is easy as fuck for me. Ian Gary, dude. There's no question about it. Kid is nowhere near as good as Shavkat Rakhmonov. The dude has finished every fight he's ever been in. Gary, since he got in the UFC, has, I think, 1 or 2 finishes. He's literally been a decision machine. They're just not on the same fucking level in any capacity. And Gary on media day even admitted they trained together before he fucking tapped out Rakhmonov. There's just there's no question at all. I'm slightly sad that we don't get Buck versus Cuck. I still would have liked to see the Buck versus Cuck matchup, but the Cuck's gonna get his ass whooped this weekend one way or another. That's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It could have been fun the other way around for sure, but I still think it's a rough road for him to walk for damn sure. But that'll bring us back across the octagon over here to Golf Tee. We've got a pair of undefeated fighters who are unofficially, of course, fighting for the next title bid, even though Shavkat pretty much had it. If Ian Gary gets by him, there's a legitimate chance he might steal that thunder, and we might be seeing a different title picture come 2025. But that all depends on how Saturday night plays out. So in our rare 5-round co-main event here, who do you think leaves the cage undefeated Saturday night?
I think you may have asked that question the wrong way. So let me rephrase this. It's not a question of who leaves the cage with their O still intact, but it's how do they leave the cage? Is it via submission or is it via knockout? That's the question in play here. Now, it could be a coin flip, but I'm leaning more heavily towards submission. There's no way, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that Machado Gary fucking walks out with an O. Well, he'll walk out with an O as in he lost, but there's no way he doesn't. If the only thing that could fucking happen is lightning would have to strike through the fucking arena and hit Shavkat directly on the fucking dome and kill him in order for that to happen. Ian Gary is not good enough. Yes, we've seen him develop since he's been in the UFC because he's had like 8 or 9 fights in the UFC so far. And to his credit, he's won all of them. He's got 3 knockouts. 3. That's pretty good. Until you look across and you go, wait a minute. Shavkat's only had like fucking 6 fights in the UFC. Like 2 knockouts and the rest submissions. He's finishing fucking everybody. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think he gets it done. Second round, submits him rear naked choke. Goodbye, Ian Gary, with the fucking you're gonna be 15-1 after this weekend via submission in the second round via rear naked choke. That's how I'm calling it. That's how it's going down.
Very interesting. I will say bold strategy to call Ian to lose by submission with Charles Oliveira in his corner because they've been working together. But it's not outside the realm of possibility by any stretch of the imagination for sure. Shavkat is a bad motherfucker. There's a reason he was already in a title fight and then is now just taking whoever the UFC could scrape up for him. So there is a genuine chance that that wolf hat might be going on Joe Rogan as he's talking about choking the life out of Ian Gary. Very, very distinct possibility. So that will bring us to round 4 and back across the octagon here, starting off with Galti again. So round 4, we have got a very, very interesting main event here. We have got a man who nobody thought would even be here, and a man that they have literally outsourced from another company to get him out of here. We have got the belt on the line in the main event of the final pay-per-view of 2024 for the UFC. Who do you think leaves that cage with the strap on their shoulder?
I don't think again, this is one of those ones where I really don't think that there is going to be a changing of the guard here. I mean, if you're looking at Alexander Pantoja, his last loss was in 2020 against Askar Askarov. And that would be a fucking decision. He took him the fucking distance. That was his last loss. He hasn't lost since then. And he's taken out the likes of Brandon Moreno, fucking Brandon Royval. He took out Steve Erceg, albeit that was fucking close. I think he slept on Steve Erceg, though. But, you know, the whole short notice thing, to Steve Erzeg's credit, he's a hell of a fucking fighter. And he's been slept on a lot. He's not slept on anymore. And, oh, I misspoke. Pantoja's beaten Royval twice, if I remember correctly. Oh, you got Kaya Skura, who's coming across, who started his fighting career fighting his brother in a fucking parking lot. The dude has become a mainstay in Japan. I'm telling you, if he manages to somehow pull this off, and I say somehow, because I don't think he's going to. Don't get me wrong. It's not that he's not used to the bright lights. He's used to them, but in a different organization. There's levels to this game. As much as I hate to say it, generally, the UFC does have some of the best talent out there. Right now, in the fucking flyweight division, I will put fucking Alexander Pantoja against anyone across any organization in MMA, and he will retain that fucking title. This is going to be no different. Do I think it's going to be easy for him? No, I think he's going to have to work for this one. I don't see him taking him out. I think we're going to get a scrappy ass fucking decision. Kaya Skura is going to make a name for himself here, but I don't think he's going to make enough of a name to take away the belt from him. I think he's going to take it to decision, and unfortunately, we're not going to get back to Japan anytime soon because, you know, I'd love to see him in one of those super fucking arenas, filling a super arena in Japan. Don't get me wrong, I'm not excited about the prospect of having to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to watch it, but I would do it. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think Pantoja takes it. Just the list of assassins that he, including the baby assassin, he fucking offed all of them that are in the flyweight division over here, minus Askar Askarov. But you know, that was his one 4 fucking years ago, almost 5 years ago now. So I just don't see him losing it. He's got too much of a head of steam right now, and he's in his fucking prime right now. And you can tell his last couple fights, he has looked like he's been in his fucking prime. Because, I mean, the dude's fucking, he's young. I mean, you're looking at him, and you're going, who isn't he going to fucking kill? He's 34, and I say 34 is young. For flyweights, it is. Those guys, fucking, for some odd reason, those lighter weight fucking fighters, they go on forever. They're like the Energizer fucking bunny. And Pantoja is no different. I think he's got at least 2 more years good run with the title in him, with 2 more title fights a year. So I think he's got 4 more title defenses at least after this one before he loses it.
Definitely a possibility here. I think there is a very good chance we see Alex Pants keep his run going, but there's no way to tell for sure. So that brings us back over across the octagon here. Christian, we've got a very interesting title fight for our main event to close out the final pay-per-view of the UFC's 2024 calendar. Who do you think walks out of that cage with that strap on their shoulder?
I'm on the opposite end of TJ. I'll give Ali Pants the respect he deserves. The dude is definitely a hell of a fighter. He's been good the past couple of years, but yeah, he had a rough one against Steve Erceg. If Erceg wouldn't have made that little mistake in that fifth round, he might have just swept it from him. Asakura is a hell of a fucking striker, man. He's got a lot of fucking power, breaking people's jaws with fucking punches. At that light of a weight class, it's impressive. I'm excited that we at least get something more interesting than the same fucking shit we've seen multiple times. Because really, that's all we were gonna get. Another Moreno or Royval matchup. I'm interested to see, but I think the Ninja might just fucking get it done. We might just get that curse broken and get the first Japanese champion. It deserves it, man. The history of MMA is embedded in Japanese culture. It's about fucking time that you see the curse broken. Asakura goes out there, knocks out Pantoja. That's how I see this shit going down. Whether it happens early or not, or he has to work for it, we'll find out. There's definitely a lot of questions, but if there's going to be a finish in this fight, it's definitely going to be from Asakura, in my opinion.
I can definitely agree with that. I don't know that Pantoja has what it takes to finish Asakura because he's not really much of a finisher. He's more of a distance fighter if that's the way that it goes. But I don't know. There's just been something this week. I agree with you. There's something this week that's got me thinking that Asakura might shock the fucking world here because it seems like a lot of people are kind of counting him out like he's the almost the other company's sacrificial lamb. Like they brought him in much like the UFC did Tim Elliott originally to wipe the floor with Mighty Mouse, and we all saw how that went. I love Tim Elliott, but goddamn, that was horrible. So that being said, that will bring us into the fifth and final winner take all round here. And as we like to do with the fifth and final round, it will have absolutely nothing to do with this weekend's UFC 310 to keep everybody on their goddamn toes and make things a little bit more interesting, damn it. So, that being said, we're not going with the post-it notes of fate. I got an interesting one here for our final pit round 5 of 2024 here. So, since you got to go second in the initial round, TJ, I will give you the choice. Would you like to remain second or would you like to take the lead here for the final question?
I'll take the fucking lead this time.
All
I got
right.
my break going into the first.
All right. So, Christian, you will get this one second. Same question for both of you here. Kind of one that I've been thinking about a lot, especially considering all the shit that happened in the time that we were off. The question for round 5. Will we see Mike Tyson compete anymore? Period. Or was this shit show that we all had to live through enough to finally make Iron Mike hang it the fuck up?
Okay. Let me start by saying this. That was nothing more than a glorified sparring match where both of them were very smart and raked in a bunch of fucking money. Look, so they made it as a legitimate loss on his record. Does that fucking tarnish his record? No, his tarnished record comes from fucking biting a guy's fucking ear off. But his overall, I don't think we're going to see him compete at a professional level again. There is a possibility that we may see an exhibition of some sort like he did a couple of years ago, but I don't think we're going to see a fucking, there will be no more professional fights out of him, period. The most you'll get out of him is a fucking exhibition. Don't get me wrong. You, I think the thing that bothers me the most is you watch his training, and his training, he looked fucking angry and ready to hurt. And then he came out and just looked like he wasn't angry, which, unfortunately, that's a trainer's fault. I will 100% credit the trainer with the fault of him not coming out angry in that. Because, well, when he was fucking when he had his long ass title reign, his trainer didn't teach him to rein in the fucking hate. He just let it flow. He pulled the old go to the dark side and fucking stay there. But now nobody has told him, hey, you gotta stay there, and he didn't stay there. So we got a glorified sparring match. Nobody fucking got knocked out. Nobody got knocked down. I mean, it just fucking just call it what it is. End of his career. He never fights again. To be honest, I don't even think we'll see a fucking exhibition out of him. I mean, he's old. You can see he's fucking gimpy. There's no reason he'll put on fucking gloves again, other than a dump truck load of fucking millions of generational wealth.
Yeah, I think there's a fairly good chance. I'm hoping so, at least anyway, but I don't know. So we'll bring it back across to you here, Christian. Final question of 2024. Have we finally seen the last of Iron Mike, or do you think he's going to lace those fucking gloves up anymore?
No, he's fucking done. We're more likely to see his ass cheeks on live television again. That's just the honest truth of it. It wasn't a damn fight. It wasn't a professional fight, even though they labeled it as such. It was a goddamn robbery. It was a joke. Good for Uncle Mike that he made a shit ton of fucking money, and then that's just even more reason. He's literally almost 60 years old. He talked about it in the damn ring after their fucking sparring match. He almost fucking died, honestly, leading up to it. It was just a hell of a feat for him to be able to get in a ring and compete again. He's probably really proud of himself and had his family there. His family's proud of him. It was a good finishing moment in that sense. But he's an old ass man going through health issues. He still managed to do that shit one more time in a sense, right? Wasn't full fight. I don't see it happening again, even another exhibition. He just don't need to do it. There's absolutely no reason in hell. He's been making shit tons of money at this point for years, doing all of his other ventures, all his little fucking cannabis businesses and podcasts and everything he's got going on. Just get back. Yeah, that's probably why, like TJ said, the fucking fire wasn't there on fight night. As Uncle Mike has gotten old, he's gotten into those shrooms and the weed real heavy, man. He probably got a little anxious. He's like, oh shit, man, let me do a little bit of these mushrooms and smoke a joint. He was just a little too fucked up to be having any fire once he got out there. It just is what it is. He's a chill dude that would rather get fucked up and enjoy his day nowadays. He ain't that crazy motherfucker he used to be. He's at the end.
Yeah, I have to say I think you're both right here. Especially considering as soon as that fight was over, they actually cut to Evander Holyfield and said, is there any chance that we see you guys in an exhibition run it back at this point? And even Evander said, no, I think at this point we're done seeing Mike in the ring. So hopefully we are done seeing him. If he wants to do like a fucking public sparring match and, you know, have private fucking folks come in and pay shit tons of money to watch, I'm cool with that. But I don't need to see Mike climb in the fucking ring anymore. I didn't want to see this one. And we clearly saw that the training he's doing for this was not the training he used to do. And the Mike that we saw tonight or this last time was not the old Mike Tyson. That Mike Tyson is clearly gone. So hopefully we can move on and be done with the bullshit, but we will see. That being said, we've got the scores tallied up here. And the winner, after 5 rounds of close scoring, a close back and forth match, goes to Golf Tee by just the ever so slightest margin here. I'm not going to lie. It was the Blumpkin comment. The Blumpkin comment did it. You guys were really fucking close back and forth, and the blunt could put you over the edge, man. Congratulations.
Bold moves pay off sometimes. Well done, Christian.
Absolutely. So well done to both of you, gentlemen. Well played. Great final pit of the 2024 year. We've got one more card left for the UFC, one more big weekend to talk about. So this is not our final show for the year, but we are getting close. And with that being said, when we wrap things up here, that is not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday, this gentleman, wait, where's he? No, he is over there. He's over there. No, he's over there. This gentleman over here and his other half are going to drop their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Links to that podcast, as well as their social media and their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord, are all listed down below. Go click on the links and tell them how awesome they are.
Appreciate it, brother. Fun never fucking stops. Once we get around to best day of the week, hump day, brother TJ has his own little fucking show every Wednesday night. About the same time here, 9:30 or so. You hop on in if you're into the vapes, you want to learn some nice recipes or mixes. Yeah, Foggy Fairway on Golf T Vapes YouTube channel, and all the brothers' links and everything should be down in the description. You make sure you show the brothers some love every fucking Wednesday.
Me, sir. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, we're gonna have a couple of weeks off here after this. So if you're looking for something to do, the meter does many things. So if you want to go find one of the many things that the meter does do, you go down right below, click on one of those links, Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe. That will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do to fill up that 2-week time gap where we got nothing going on, because I'm not doing a show next week, Wednesday, because I'm going to go enjoy my birthday and build my new computer.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So remember, if there are good fights to talk about that weekend, you will probably catch us doing a show. And we generally do those live Thursday evening here on YouTube, youtube.com/@ImNoJoe. If you can't or don't get a chance to catch that live, don't worry. The replay stays up on YouTube. But if you don't want to watch that, I understand. We also own mirrors. And for that reason, we put the podcast out in the all audio format a week after we go live over on anchor.fm/ImNoJoe. You can pick us up there on your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, you name it. We are everywhere through there that you want to listen to. If you want to help out around here, best way to do that, patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you help us do what we do around here, and we let everybody know how awesome you are for doing that. That being said, if you like what we get up to around here, please give us a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on, whatever platform you're picking this up on. If you're on YouTube, back up, watch the little thing down below, smash that like button. It should have done sparkly shit. I don't know if it did or not, but if it did, if not, either way, if you like what we get up to around here, make sure you don't miss an episode. But on the opposite side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So remember, if you want to find out what happens over the course of the weekend, but you don't want to actually have to watch all the shit that happens over the course of the weekend, keep your eyes peeled over on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. There's a little tab now. They separated all the things out. It's not the videos tab. That's where these go over on the live side. There's another tab called shorts. If there's a finish and it's worth talking about, there will be a YouTube short on the I'm No Joe I'm No Joe channel page. Words are hard sometimes. So keep your eyes peeled there. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.